Hey shooters, my name is Joe Lowley from Precision Match Timer. It is time for the January 2023 Course of Fire for the NRL22. Looking back at December, I had a good match, except for the Sawhorse stage, which ate me up. Lost the match by less than 2 impacts, actually came in third. The second place person was 1 impact ahead of me and 1 impact behind the winner. I've been doing pretty good nationally, it seems. It looks like I am in 10th place in the nation if I am reading the scores correctly on the NRL22 website. So not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, let's jump into this month's Course of Fire, which is a repeat from a couple years ago, but it's new to me. I wasn't shooting NRL22 a couple of years ago. I started back when NRL22 first started, and then it kind of died out in my area and has now been started back up. So there's a little gap in between where I wasn't shooting any of it and just shooting PRS matches. So this one's new to me, but you may have already shot it before, or it may have been a missed match. I'm not exactly sure. So let's get right into the Course of Fire and see what we can do to make everyone's scores a little bit better. Stage 1, feeling tired. On the start, shooter will engage the targets with 2 shots each in the following manner. Using either the 4th or 5th ladder rung, you go near, then far. Go to the top of the tire, near, then far. Through the tire, near target. 2 shots at each of them. No rifle or bipod touching the ground on the last position. Let's see, targets are 2 inches at 75 and 2.5 at 100. So those are both about 0.7 mil target sizes. My dope is 0.9 and 2.0, so a holdover would be a 1.1. But I think there's plenty of time to dial this one. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward, so let's go figure out the bags. All right, so first stage uses the ladder. Says the top rung, if you can reach it, and then you're going to shoot from the top of the tire and inside the tire. Rifle can't touch the ground, but I'm still going to go prone for that bottom position. So normally on a ladder, I like to use the flat bag with the gray ups plate. It works really well on those rungs and gives me plenty of room to get it in, but it does not work as well on the tire. So I am going to use the gray ops or the area 419 plate and schmedium bag. It takes a little bit more time to get it into the rung, but it does a better job on these other positions. So I'm going to use that. I am also going to use this Coltac cuddle bag, especially for the top of the tire, and I'd probably use it a little bit on the prone position as well. Shooter ready? Engage. All right, so as you can see, it takes a little bit more effort to fit the schmedium bag in there. You have to turn it kind of sideways, and so it takes a little bit more effort, but it's worth it. It's a very stable bag to use. I like to spread my feet as wide as I can. It's on the top rung, so you can't go too wide or else you lose your height. Then down on the tire, I like to try to use my rear bag on my knee to get a more stable position, but that tire is quite bouncy, as you'll see right here, and it takes a lot of weighting just to get it right. And then drop down to the inside the tire. I was going to use the rear bag, and then I realized it was a little too big, and my hand worked pretty good to keep it relatively stable. Knock out a couple of those from each position. Turning the turret was not a problem at all.
20 seconds.
And as you can see, had plenty of time. All right, stage 2 is the Easter egg hunt. On start, shooter will go prone and shoot each target once from near to far, then repeat. Easy enough, but there are 6 targets from 25 to 100 yards. Those targets start out small, where the target is only 0.3 mils in size, but as you go out, it gets bigger. Also, reminder, 12-round stage. So I was thinking dial everything, but these holdovers work really well for me, and it's a lot of dialing. I have 0, 0.5, 1.0, 1.2, and 2.0. Those work really well, but they could change that day, especially if it is very cold. So I'm going to practice it dialing, and if I can't get it done in time, I'm going to start practicing holding. You ready? Engage. All right, so in a prone stage, of course, it's very important to have a good position. I like to set my front bipod, which is a sky pod, one side in the middle position and one side in the wide position. If you have a sky pod, you know what I mean by that. I use a medium rear bag, and it is very stable, as you can see. You want as wide a base as possible. I am not the best example of that. I have hips that do not turn out very well. I wish I could get my heels down the ground, but that's just not physically possible for me. So if you can, you should. And of course, it's really important to breathe. Squeeze that trigger at the end of your breath. Take a breath every single time, and you will pull off better shots. It's a nice even squeeze, and not jerking the rifle around. I am not adjusting the parallax here. I probably will in the match, so that'll add a little bit of time. I can't really do it with the scope cam, and so I try to factor that in afterwards, but you can see I had plenty of time, so it should work. Stage 3, final countdown. Shooter will engage the single target in the following manner. Off the backrest of the chair for 3 shots. Back to the seat of the chair for 2 shots. Backrest for 3, seat for 2. This is a timed stage, so don't mess around. The target is 3 inches at 87 yards. So that's a 1.14 mils wide target. So plenty big. This is all about getting steady and moving back and forth quickly. All right, so shooting off the chair, it's going to be pretty simple. 3 shots off the back, 2, 3, 2. The flat works really well with the medium bag and plate. It's going to be the same up there, and I think I'm going to use this big ass bag on the seat when I'm shooting off the back, and I think that should give me a lot of stability. So let's go ahead and try this one. You ready? Engage. All right, so the first thing I did is set up that bag on the seat, put the front bag on the back of the seat, and it was super stable, just really nice. And I thought this is going to be an easy stage. And then I moved down to the seat a nice flat seat is usually very stable for that bag as well. And when I tried to get to it, I realized I couldn't see the target. It's hard to look over your scope and see it because of the seat, but that seat back was actually blocking the scope completely. So I had to give up completely and try something else.
Engage.
So I did the same thing, but now I switched to the flat bag and the gray ops plate. It is not quite as stable as the Schmedium was, but it was stable enough to get this done. And once I moved down to the seat, it was low enough that I could, see the target. The other one, I could barely see the target, but it wasn't worth the risk. So I'll go with a smaller bag and just jump back and forth like this. Easy enough. Like I said, not quite as stable as the other one, but good enough for this.
Don't rush it.
When I get into these kneeling positions, I try to get as low as I can. I do use a Sykes clutch on the side of the rifle when I'm using that flat bag and the gray ops plate, and I think it helps a lot.
All right.
Stage 4, tank trap rodeo. Shooter will engage the single target with 3 shots from each tip and then 3 shots from the center. For those keeping score, that's a 12-shot stage. So make sure you have enough rounds in your mags or a second mag with you. The target is 3 inches at 86 yards, so it's pretty much the same exact thing as the last stage. This is all about moving quickly and getting from tip to tip and getting yourself steady. So I'm probably going to use the same thing I always do on a tank trap, but let's go take a look at that and see how we can get through it. It's another tank trap stage, so I'm going to shoot it the way I always shoot it, and that is using the Area 419 plate with the Schmedium bag attached.
Engage.
I find this extremely stable, and I even bought this combination after shooting my buddy's version of this bag on a tank trap, and it does extremely well, as you can see. I try to get a wide base and do a nice easy squeeze. The first 2 tips are usually easy enough to stand with wide base and do that. But then when you move to that last tip, sometimes you can get into a kneeling position, which you can see here. One of the tips is always going to be a little bit lower. So I can kneel there, and that's often the case at matches. And then for the center, depending on which way the tank trap's facing, it could look differently. But I put my rifle on the right side of it so that I could work the bolt. But then you can see, where does my hand go? I was trying to figure out if I should put it around. I ended up putting it underneath here and bracing it up against that one leg of the tank trap, and that worked really well. You can see how stable that is. It's just sitting there, and the center is usually pretty easy anyway, but that certainly did help. Stage 5 is tough decisions. So this is a prone stage, and there are multiple target sizes. Everything from 1 inch, 1.5, 2 inch, 2.5, all at 100 yards. So just like last month off the Sawhorse, where you have to choose which size you want to go for, and the smaller the size, the more points you get. But this is a prone stage, so it's definitely easier than the Sawhorse. As long as it's not really windy, the small target should be very attainable, and it's definitely something I will be going for. Alright, so it's the other prone stage for this match, and it's going to be the same thing. Get a good position and take a shot at your first target. I will be trying to shoot for the smallest 1 inch target. You can see I've got a really good hold going on with these. But of course, the great equalizer on this is going to be the wind. If there's wind, I have to figure it out. And sometimes you shoot a bigger target to figure that out, and then use that data to shoot at the smaller target. It may be that I can see where on that first target I hit, and I can make a little adjustment left or right if I have to. But it's easy enough to hold in this position exactly where I need to. All right, thanks for watching. I would really appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel. Besides the Courses of Fire, I've been doing center fire reloading videos, and we'll be doing more gear reviews soon. So take care and good luck at your match.